the Black Widow movie coming out soon, I figured that it might be fun to go back and look at her first appearance in the MCU in Iron Man 2. Or maybe it won't be fun at all. It might be terrible. That's what we're here to find out. Is Iron Man 2 worth the hate? It's often listed as among the worst movies of the MCU, and I don't remember it fondly. I don't remember it being, like, garbage, but, like, the only things I remember from it are a fun fight scene at a NASCAR thing. Why was Tony Stark in a NASCAR thing? Whip Guy has a bird.
I want my bird.
And he gets a lot of drones. Tony gets drunk and fights Rhodey, who's a new guy. And yeah, Black Widow's in it, but as Scarlett Johansson said in a recent interview, she was more like a piece of meat than a character in the movie.
Watch the road.
I got it. So, oh, and Tony Stark was in a donut at one point. And Samuel L. Jackson was also there.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut.
That's about what I remember. It's been several years since I've seen this movie. I feel like the only times that I ever watch it is like when I'm at my mom's house and like she has the TV on like in the background and it's just on TV because TV channels just know that like it's a good movie to have on in the background, I guess. So, let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm 25 minutes in right now and I just had to stop for a second. The first scene with Black Widow in it, she's whatever. She is the first scene with her in it, and the scene ends with her leaving, and Tony Stark saying, "I want one," about her. After being extremely creepy to her, and looking up pictures of her modeling career to, you know, display across. It's gross. It's gross. It's gross. Yeah, when Scarlett Johansson says that she's just a piece of meat in this movie, certainly in that first scene, she is. And overall, I'm 25 minutes in so far in this 2-hour movie, and it's not like horrendous, but it's like barely maintaining my interest. Nothing's really happened yet. I mean, obviously stuff has happened, but it's boring. It's boring so far. You know, one of the most common complaints that I read about this movie is that it's overstuffed with too many plot points. But, you know, I was watching it for a little while and I was like, I mean, I don't know that that's true. So far it seems to be on a pretty solid, like, thread, pretty easy to understand. And now we've seen movies like, you know, Infinity War and Endgame, where there's so much going on, but it all is able to tell one story. I think that that's going to be something that I'm able to talk about now. Is like, oh, it probably doesn't deserve that hate. But now I'm about an hour in, and I am just like, we're halfway done, and Rhodey just kind of stole an Iron Man suit, and like I like kind of get why. Like I'm not stupid. I'm following the plot, but like he did just kind of steal Tony Stark's property. Like that was okay, and he somehow was able to power it without, you know, the little heart plate things. But you know, whatever. But then I thought about it, and I was like, I'm halfway through the movie, and the donut scene hasn't happened yet. I know that happens. Nick Fury hasn't even popped up in the movie once, and I know he's in it. Plus, Scarlett Johansson has to be revealed as the Black Widow. There's got to be a climax. There's drones. There's just so much more that I know happens in this movie, and it's all kind of like just like sprouting out like a weed. not a whole lot that I care about. There have been 2 action scenes so far. The NASCAR whip scene, which was fine. I kind of remembered it being better than it actually was, but it was still perfectly fine. And the fight between Iron Man and Rhodey taking the suit for the first time as War Machine. And that was also fine. Perfectly passable scenes. But yeah, I just I don't care about a whole lot. The only plot threads that I really actually care about right now is Tony Stark is dying, and a lot of the other plot points kind of stem off from that. But we've been going, we're halfway through the movie, and we've known that he's been dying since 10 minutes in, maybe. And no one else knows, and that's getting old. And for this whole hour, Tony Stark has just been plodding along, knowing that he's going to die and setting some pieces in place, for when he dies. But it's just been going on for too long. And the only other thing I care about is Pepper being put in charge of the company. I thought the scene where Tony told her that he wanted her to be CEO was phenomenal, and I thought the scene with the 2 of them on the plane flying back after the NASCAR scene was good. So far, the only scenes that I'm really enjoying out of the movie are the ones where it's just Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow just alone talking, which, I don't know, in total those scenes probably took up 3 minutes. So yeah, I still am not hating the experience of watching the movie, but I'm halfway through and I'm oh, it's boring. So I'm partway through the climax now. There's 21 minutes left in the movie, including credits. And I think I figured out what the problem here is. Tony's just reacting to everything. The whole movie. There's no overlying thread or motivation that is active. I don't think there's a single character in this movie who's active. The bad guy, Ivan, his plan was just to attack Tony at the NASCAR thing, and then he happened to be grabbed by Hammer to make the drones and whatnot. And his plan's happening now, but we didn't know what the plan was beforehand. Well, there wasn't even really a hint that there was a plan other than Ivan is a bad guy. So everything's just kind of happening. The climax is going on now, and Tony's flying around and being chased by stuff. There's a lot of explosions. But, I mean, that's been going on for 5-10 minutes now. He's been flying around and things have been chasing him, and there have been explosions, and it's not interesting. Nothing's really happening. Not to sound too much like a Black Widow fanboy, but her fight scene beating up all the Hammer goons in the hallway has been the most interesting fight scene so far, and it being juxtaposed with Jon Favreau's character fighting one guy while she's taken out 10 of them. One leads to that funny punchline shot with him having finished taking out his one guy, being I got him, and looking at the hall and seeing 10 knocked out dudes with one guy hanging from the ceiling. That was good. And if I'm remembering correctly, that's about it. I think from here she hacks into something to turn off the drones. Or maybe just to free Rhodey, so that way the 2 of them can shoot all the drones. But I think from here on out, the best part has come and gone. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the rest of the climax was not very exciting. They fought some drones. Then Ivan came in a big Iron Man suit. We didn't see that in the first Iron Man movie at all. And then they punched him a few times. It looked like Ivan was going to win, and then they blew him up. And then Pepper quit being CEO for some reason. And so the movie ends with Iron Man being Iron Man. And Pepper's not the CEO. And the Avengers Initiative is a thing that exists. So, overall, exactly where the first movie ended. So, not only was the whole ride a little boring, but in terms of like watching for the sake of the MCU, extremely skippable. Nothing worthwhile happens except for the introduction of Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. But yeah, like Scarlett Johansson said, she is mostly a piece of meat in here. We don't learn anything about her character other than she is an agent who can speak a couple languages and can kick ass in a fight scene. But we learn all of those things in her first scene of the Avengers. So, is Iron Man 2 worth the hate? I'm trying to. I mean, compared to like Thor: The Dark World, I don't think it's that bad. It's also been a while since I've seen Thor: The Dark World, so I don't think it's the worst movie of the MCU. But it's extremely boring overall. There are a couple jokes that made me like chuckle, and I'm sure the first time that I saw it made me laugh. But a lot of the movie's humor is just like characters bickering back and forth, and it doesn't work like 95% of the time. So yeah, the action's not great. Yeah, you know, it's worth the hate. I don't think that it's like shit on as one of the worst movies ever. So I would agree, it's not that. But no, it's not good. That was me watching a movie. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of Iron Man 2 down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will maybe see you again if I do another thing like this.